This is J. Krishnamurti's third public talk at Rishi Valley, 1977.
We were talking, weren't we, the other day about the art of listening. We went to it fairly, not in too many details, but the essence of it. I would like to, if I may, talk about the art of seeing. And I hope you will actually do it as we are talking about it. Not as a theory or an intellectual concept, but actually do it. Then it becomes much more realistic and worthwhile. One questions if one ever sees anything as it is. Do we look at the world, the beautiful earth, which humanity is trying to destroy? Do we ever look at it? The beauty of the skies, the rocks, the hills, the rivers, the expanse of water, the lovely stars at the night. Do we ever actually observe them? And do we observe what is happening politically in the world? Religiously, which is no religion at all, with all the racket of the gurus? Do we see the economic problems of the world, the pollution, the poverty, the class differences? Do we see all that? Actually see it, not make a conclusion or draw a theory. To see it actually as it is. Not through Marxist theology. I'm sorry to use the word theology with regard to Marx. You know who Marx is? Huh? I hope you do. He's, having studied him or having become very involved in it, accepting his theories, or Mao's, or some other intellectual, informed people with their conclusions. Do we look at the world without those conclusions, those ideas? Look at the world as it is. Do we look at the world outside of us without the eyes of the Hindus, the Buddhists, the traditionalists, those who are well off? Do they look at the poverty, the degradation, the appalling state in the world and about here too? Do we look at it? And do we look at anything freely, with clear eyes, without naming anything, just to observe the hills, the trees, the leaves, the light on the leaves? Do we? And from outside, go inward. Because if you do not know how to look at the world outside of us, without the world, without conclusion, without belonging to any particular group of theologists or economists or who have got various historical conclusions and so on without having seen all that, can you observe, see yourself as you are? Because if we do not have the outward clarity of looking at things very clearly, we lose the art of looking at ourselves as we are. Shall we do that now? Can we do that? That is, to observe the outward world. There you can't deceive yourself. You can say, well, I think this, I believe in that. The Congress is better than this, or Labour Party is better than that, and so on, so on, so on. But there is always a criterion outside. You can't dodge it. You can say, well, I believe. I may be wrong, I may be crooked, my interests are in one political party or the other, but there is a definite something that cannot be deceive oneself. I hope this is clear, isn't it? And from there, look at ourselves, to observe minutely, precisely, what's going on, what we are. Will you do it? Because if we do not, then, or if we are not willing happily, easily to look at ourselves as we are, then our conditioning as a Hindu, as a Catholic, as a Buddhist, as a Marxist, as a Maoist, or a extreme left and extreme right and extreme center, politically and even religiously, if we are not capable of looking at it, the conditioning, with all its weight of tradition of millennia, distorts and deforms the brain. I don't know if you have noticed it here. When you discuss, you are always thinking in a particular groove. Always caught in some kind of tradition. You're never given up being a Hindu. Have you? Because that's a part of the tradition, part of the routine, part which is accepted, practiced, and carried on from generation to generation. The word tradition comes from Latin, which is tradare, to hand over from one generation to another generation. And in that word also, tradition, there is, the root also means treason, treachery. Treason or being treacherous to the present. Do you understand all this? We are communicating with each other. That is, if I am caught in a tradition, whether the tradition be 10,000 or 2,000 or the tradition of yesterday, then I cannot possibly see what is actually happening. Because I'm looking at what is happening with the mind that is caught, conditioned in a tradition. That is the betrayal of the present. That's the meaning of the word tradition. To hand over from generation to generation. And also it has a meaning which is to be treacherous, to to betray, to be treason, all that's involved in that word. It's a really marvelous word if you go into it very deeply. And is one free, first of all, to observe in oneself if one is caught in a tradition, which is our condition. If you are a Catholic, for 2,000 years, the repetition that you are a Catholic, that you believe in Virgin Mary, Jesus Christ, the whole ritual, dogma, and the marvelous beauty of the church rituals. And to observe, to be aware, to see that whether you are caught in the tradition of a Hindu with all the superstition, with all the gods and class difference, the whole of that. Otherwise, if one is not free from all that, abandon them naturally, because it's so utterly unreasonable, insane. Otherwise, the mind, the brain is not free from the imprint of time. Right? One has verbally explained all this. You can see the reason of it, the logic of it. And mere reason, logic, explanation doesn't resolve the tradition, doesn't free the mind, the brain from it. But to observe it closely, minutely, precisely, what's going on. And one is obviously free of it. Are you doing it as we are talking about it? Because we want to go into something much more deeply, if you will. You cannot go very deeply if you haven't done this. Then it becomes a theory, you can talk about it endlessly. Verbally, it has no meaning. And so when one asks, has one given up anything at all in life? Given up that which is most pleasurable to you. Say, for instance, you have a particular job, position, status, to give it up easily. Have you ever done it, any of you? Or you give it up as you get older and older and say, for goodness sake, it's enough. Let's maybe become rather religious and talk about things. Have you? There used to be a monastery, which I used to go and see, outside Florence in Italy. And the novitiate had to wait to go to the inner things for 11 years. You understand? He remained the outer wall. He's never gone into the deeper wall. For 11 years. You understand what it means? Or you listen to the speaker as an entertainment, as something new. Let's go and talk to him. Let's find out what he's talking about. And if it suits us, we'll accept it. If it doesn't matter very much. I think we all want to have our feet or our hands in various teachings. Because at least if one fails, you're quite sure you have the other. You understand what I'm talking about? Don't you all do that? You go to one guru and then another guru, another teacher, you add this there, because if one thing fails, you are quite sure you have something else to lay down. So, are you aware of all this? Inwardly observe your actual state of mind, state of your heart, state of your action. I've observed greatly in India. They talk a great deal about God, love and purity and non-violence and blah, blah, blah. And actually are violent, actually are crooked, actually. Right? So, in the old days, when you went to, I believe when you went to hear the Buddha, or when you really were serious, shaved your head, put on a particular robe, and went and sat with him, right? But here nowadays, everything is so cheap. You can take bus from here with all the goods and traditions of the world and add something to it also. So are we aware actually what you're all doing? Please, I'm not persuading you or rewarding or anything of that silly stuff, but I'm asking you seriously, earnestly. Have you gone into yourself at all? Look at yourself. Your vanities, your hurts, your jealousies. Have you watched them? Do you know? Have you been aware of them? So take one factor. We are hurt from childhood, right? Hurt. Psychologically, we are hurt. At home by the parents, you must be as good as your brother, you're not right, you're this, you're that. That hurts people, right? That hurts psychologically. At school, he's also hurt. And so on, all the way through life. If you're married, you say something to your wife, or the wife says something to you, or you look to another woman or go and sleep with another woman, you get very hurt, terribly hurt. Don't you? Huh? Gee Wilkins, are you all such saints? Don't you get hurt? Huh? So first, what is hurt? Who is hurt? Please investigate with me. Be free to investigate. Who is hurt? We say the me that's hurt. Who is the me? The me is the image that you have created. Society has helped you to create it. Your parents have helped you to create the image, the picture of which is me. That picture, that image is hurt. Right? So, the image, the image is you. Right? Follow it logically, sir. The image is you. You are not different from the image which you have, society has helped to create, your parents have helped to create, your education has helped to create, the environment has helped to create. Your religion, your Marxism, your Stalin, right? If you're Stalinite, are there any here? No, there won't be any. Sadhana. Add some more. So all these have created the image which you are. The image is you. And when anything is said that unpleasant or derogatory or psychologically disagreeable, that image is hurt. Right? Simple. Right, sir? So, the consequences of that hurt is resistance, fear, isolation, withdrawal. So you have no relationship with anybody, because you might get hurt. So there is fear. And you live, as you grow older, more and more isolated. And you talk about relationship, you talk about love, but this thing is there, like a frightful disease. Don't you know all this? Now can you be aware of this? Observe. Can the mind observe the image, which is itself? Please listen carefully for 2 minutes. You can be aware, observe, as though you are an outsider looking in. Right? Which is, you are different from the image. So you can look at the image. But if you are the image, which is the fact, then how do you observe? What is the observation? Please listen. What is the observation in which there is no duality? There is not the observer and the observed. Answer. We're asking what is the state of observation where the observer is the image and the observed is the image, because they're not two. Then what is the state of observation? We are used to, by traditionally, through habit, through education, to observe the observer and the thing being observed. We are used to that. Then you do something, the observer does something about the observed, controls it, tries to get rid of it. There is that interaction. There is that struggle, conflict, and all that goes on. But when you see the fact that the observer and the observed are one, that is, the thinker and the thought is one, the analyzer and the analyzed is one, the experiencer and the experience is one. I hope you understand all this. I'm not sure, but we'll go into it. Then what is the quality of that observation in which there is no division? You understand that? I can look at the world as a Marxist, or as a capitalist, or as a socialist, or belonging to some kind of institution. Look at the world. Therefore, the belief is different from the fact. Now, when there is no belief but only the fact, I'm neither a Marxist, socialist, labor, this. I belong to no institution, no conclusion. Then how do I observe the fact? You follow this? I wonder if you're following all this. Not you, sir. You shaky, don't. This is one of the most difficult things to understand and actually do it. I'm asking, if you have gone that far seriously, what is the quality of observation when there is no division? I'll show you. When you look at that mountain, that hill, the optical visual observation creates the distance between you, between the observer and the hill, the division. By naming it a hill, that also creates a division, right? We're following this fairly simple. And this division between that and this, the observer, is the interval of time. Right, sir? Krishnamurti, sir? Come on, sit here. You see, I like to discuss this with somebody who's actually doing it. So is there an observation of that mountain, of that hill, the beauty of that line, the shape, the rocks, the blue sky, to look at it without the word? Because the word divides, and the word becomes more important than the fact. Because the moment I use the word mountain, I have a picture of mountains. And so the picture is the distorting factor. So, without naming, to observe, without the association which is created by the word and the mountains which I've seen before in the comparing, and to observe without the time interval. Me observing the distance, all the rest of it, which doesn't mean I identify myself with the mountain, because that would be too absurd. I'm not the mountain, or the goat, or the tree. So what is the quality of that observation? Because it's very important if you can get this. What is the quality of observation? Without the word, without the time, without the interval between the observer and the observed.
Perhaps I might describe the barrier that I perceive that my perception is fragmentary.
Yes, sir.
As my perception is fragmentary, as I listen to you, I find that I see no way by which this fact that my perception is fragmentary can be negated.
All you say, sir, I understand. You are saying, aren't you, sir, put it another way, our perception is never whole. Whole. The word whole means, again derived from Latin and so on, Greek, means health. Healthy. Because if you're not healthy, you can't see the whole. Right? If your mind is fragmentary, which is when you're not completely, I won't go into all that. The word whole means healthy. To have a good, healthy. And also it implies sanity. And also, deeper meaning is holy. Holy. all that is implied in that one word, whole, holistic, as the scientists use it in abroad. They don't mean what we mean. So, to observe without fragmentation, that fragmentation is created by time, by the word, the association with that word which evokes so many, many memories. All that prevents the total observation of yourself. Because unless one has knowledge about oneself, understanding of oneself, seeing actually what one is, not theoretically, the Atman, the super-Atman, the super-conscious, you can play with that endlessly, which are unreal, which Hindus are marvelous at this. Right? To wipe away all that and to look. So, I am saying, we are saying, the speaker is saying, what is the quality of observation when the observer is the past, right? Isn't it? The observer who says, who is the past? The past being the accumulated knowledge, accumulated experiences, and so on. He is the observer. Is that clear? Come on, sirs. That observer with the past looks. And so the past is observing the present. And the past through the present creates the future. Right? So, what is the nature of observation when there is no observer who is the past? You understand? That is, to observe something, observe yourself without the past. The past being my memories, my sadness, my vanities, my sexual habits, and all the past. So when you observe when there is an observation without the past, what takes place? Are you doing it? Are you doing it? Be clear, please. Don't deceive. Please, just a minute. Don't deceive yourself. Only repeat, only say something which is yours, not somebody else's. Huh? What?
It's free of the me and the past association.
No, that's too, you're too.
Mind is free.
No, I understand, madam. But are you saying this as a fact or as a theory?
Very simple experiment. I am looking at a bird through a telescope. And I discover that the telescope is not very powerful. And therefore what I see of the bird, what I want to see I am unable to see. I want to see the beak of the bird to distinguish it from something else. Now I say that my telescope is not powerful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So when I say that the mind is fragmentary, it is a perception of a certain limitation. I want to know whether it is possible to look at this in some way. I don't know.
I missed it.
You will get stuck with this fact that what you are saying is fragmentary.
So, what I'm saying is very simple. We live in the past. Our life is based on the past. Our whole outlook on life is Past being, I'm a Marxist, I'm a socialist, I'm this. Here, may I say something? There are a group of people in the world who have abandoned every form of institutionalism, every form of Marxism, Maoism, socialism, capitalism, labor, extreme right. They say that never will solve the problem. They say you require a totally different kind of brain to solve this problem. That's what we are talking about. There is no such group, I'm inventing such a group. Right? Rather funny, isn't it? What are you saying, sir?
No thought of I saw arose.
Huh?
No thought of I saw
Arose.
arose.
How can the thought I did not see arise?
What? Are you following what we are talking about, sir? Or this your particular question?
Without the past memories, we have to see.
That's what I am saying. The past memory is experience, knowledge, right? Which is stored up in the brain, right?
When there is no memory,
Sir, find out first, sir. That is, your brain contains holds the past memories, past ideas, conclusions, experience, knowledge, right? Right, sir? From that, there is memory, right? If you had no memory, there would be no thought. The response of memory is thought. So thought is the past. Right? Thought is the past. I wonder if you see that. So, can you observe without thought? Which doesn't mean you go off into a trance or mesmerize yourself that you're not thinking but look. But to understand the whole movement of thought, which is the registration on the brain of every incident, psychological incident, which is the past, and to observe without the movement of time, which is thought. Right, sir? Somebody understand it?
Yes, sir. This last one, yes. I didn't hear, sir.
You didn't hear?
End of the sentence.
Oh, end of the sentence. Now what did I say? Rishi?
Observe without the movement of thought.
Oh?
To observe without the movement of thought.
Achuji? Every incident, psychological incident, every psychological incident happening, personal or impersonal, is registered on the brain. The brain is the tape, the electronic computer. This is obvious, I don't have to go into it. And the response to a challenge is thought. Now, can there be an observation without thought? Or without the movement of thought? Which doesn't mean I go off into some peculiar silence, blah, 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 but actually see the whole logical, sequential order of registration, the effects of that registration, the imprints on the brain of that registration, and to realize that any imprint is a distortion, disfigures the brain itself, and to observe without the movement of thought. Will you do it? Huh?
It is negated. It is negated.
What is negated?
When you observe this process,
Nothing is negated.
the tape is negated.
No. Watch it. Achuje, watch it carefully. Moment you use the word negated, there must be a negator. Right? Here there is no negator because the tape itself, the brain itself sees the movement. I wonder if let's make it much more simple. Are we aware? Is thought aware of itself? Because I want to lead up to, I want to move, go on. It's now 20 past, I've talked nearly 45 minutes.
Duality is described to bring about a harmony?
What?
The duality is described to bring about a harmony?
No, nothing. Nothing is destroyed, nothing which brings about. Those are all trading, merchant attitude. I give you something and you get something out of it. This is our tradition. I go to the Guru, he'll give me something in return for something. And this is a lovely marketing that goes on in this country.
So you were saying how that thought seeing its own movement.
That's what I'm coming. Because I want to go into something further if you will follow it. And is thought aware of itself arising? As you are aware, if you watch yourself, if there is an observation, you can observe, there can be an observation of anger arising. Surely. Right?
Sir, I am aware of the
No. There is no anger arising. I didn't say you are aware. Anger arising. No, not you are aware that anger arising, because you are anger. If you get that one fact, one truth, that the observer is the observed, that is, look, sir, there is anger. At that precise moment of anger, there is neither you, nothing but anger. A second later, I say, I have been angry. Division takes place. Right? You're following all this? Division takes place. Then you say, I must do something about that anger. I rationalize it, I justify it, I say, quite right, I should be angry, or I shouldn't be angry, and all the rest of it follows. But the fact is, you are anger. So, there is an observation of anger arising, not you are aware that you are angry, right? Is that so? Find out. Don't accept, please, anything the speaker says.
So that observation by whom?
No, there is no observation by whom, just observation. See, we are so terribly traditional. Because we've been trained in that the I is different from the other. Therefore, one has developed this control, suppression, escape, rationalization, but not ever facing the fact, and the fact is you. So come. Now just let me go on. Thought is the response of registration, right? The registration is the imprint of time on brain. That's simple, right? Please don't accept anything the speaker says. He has no authority, he rejects all authority. Therefore, we are together investigating. You are sharing in it. If you are not sharing in it, just keep quiet. You can't. If somebody offers you food, if you are full, you can't accept food. But you are already full because you are full of tradition, full of knowledge about Gita, about this, about that. God. Right, sir? Therefore, you're never hungry to find out. So I'm saying, now, what is the quality of observation in which there is no thinker? The thinker being the past, right? What is the quality of it? Then, is there that which is pure observation? No, you're missing my point. Now, may I go on without your interpreting? See how eager he is. Oh, sir, please stop. God, you can't talk to people. I would like to go on, if I may, penetrating into this, if you are listening. What is the quality of the brain or the mind when there is no observer? Only observation. Not I am observing. Only observation, as there is an observation of the mountain, without the word, without the association that word creates, comparison with that hill, with other hill, all that is the factor of division. Like a communist believes one thing, Catholic believes another, right? The Protestant, and so on, division, the Jew, the Arab, the Hindu, the Muslim. Now, when there is no division at all, what is the quality of relationship? You understand? Now perhaps you will begin to understand this. When you are not a Hindu, and I am not a Muslim, I have been a Muslim, perhaps. And what is the relationship between us when I am not a Muslim and you are not a Hindu? Huh?
Sir, is there any relationship at all then?
Huh?
Is there any relationship at all, I wonder?
What?
If there is any relationship at all, I wonder.
You can only, you are saying, you are asking something which is there relationship at all? Then you have not stopped being a Hindu.
No, if I have stopped being Hindu.
Stop it first. and I am a Muslim, if I am a Muslim, I stop being a Muslim. Then we can find out what that relationship is when you are not a Hindu and I am not a Muslim. But to find out, say, if I am not, then you're just playing with words. Oh gosh. I'm going back. What is the state of observation when I am not a Hindu and you're not a Muslim? What do you say, Krishnamurti sir? What is the state of observation when there is no thinker? Huh? What? No, unless you are doing it, please don't say something which you are not directly observing. So I'm asking, let me move a little further, which is our consciousness is its content. Right? Our consciousness, you know what, the word consciousness, you know what it means? To be conscious, to be aware, to this whole psychological structure in which there is anger, jealousy, hatred, being hurt, vanity, and feeling that you're frightfully superior to others, and because you know Mrs. the latest political boss and so on, all that is your content of your consciousness. Hindu, non-Hindu, you're a Muslim and you're all that. Right, sir? Right? The content, greed, anger, jealousy, Hindu, the tradition, your misery, your misfortune, your lack of love or love, all that is, the content makes up its consciousness. Right? Right, sir? Achiji? Now, I'm saying please just listen. Don't answer me. Because you don't know, you haven't even thought about it. So I'm just putting this thought in front, this statement in front of you, which is, can consciousness become aware of itself? Not that I am becoming aware of my consciousness, then you have a duality, you follow? Which is artificial, and which then all that, whatever you create. But so I'm asking you, can consciousness, with its content, which is consciousness, become aware of itself? When I've hurt my finger, that hurt is conveyed to the brain, then there's pain and all the rest of it. Now, the hurt is the response of pain, right? Right? Which is, there is a causation. I wonder if you follow me. There's a causation in there. I've banged my finger, the nerves have gone to the head, and the pain, brain says there's pain. It's all done instantly. That is, there is a cause and there is an effect. Right? This is simple, sir. Right, sir? Right? Now, is there an observation? Can consciousness become aware of itself without a cause? Otherwise, the cause dictates the direction of consciousness becoming aware of itself. I think this is too difficult. So, I'm not going to. Is love a cause? Is love an effect of a cause? Come on, sirs. I love you because you give me food and clothes and shelter. There's a cause. You give me something, and in return, I'm terribly devoted to you. Right? Are you following this? Is that devotion? Is that love? You all go to the temples, don't you? Some of you at least. You offer something to the God that is made of stone, and in return you want something from that God, right? Don't you? Don't you, sirs? Oh, you Hindus. You never face facts. So I'm asking you, if you give me something and I love you for it, is that love? My wife gives me something, her sex, and I love her for it. Is that love? Is that love when my wife gives me comfort, says you are a marvelous boy or boy? And so on, so on, so on. Is all that love? See, in India, you don't talk about that word. Everybody gets rather nervous. In Europe, that word is associated with sex. So generally, not always, of course, but here, I'm asking you just wait, let me. I asked you whether consciousness can be aware of itself. If there is a cause, which means a motive, then that motive directs or distorts the factor of observation. Right? Are you getting tired? No, don't say anything, please. You're not listening, that's why you're not tired. Any motive, let me again, the word motive means movement, to move. So, when there is a motive, that motive is a distorting factor, that's very clear. You give me something and I love you for, that's a distorting factor. So, can consciousness, without cause, without a motive, become aware of itself? Oh. Not pretend, not say, yes, I know what it means. But to live without a motive. Right, sir? Have you ever done it, to live without a motive? Do you know what it means? Therefore, every motive that you have is a distortion, which means the brain is never free, always a motive. if you want to go into this very, very deeply, the mind, the brain must be totally free to examine, to investigate, to explore. Therefore, in exploration, if there is any form of motive, it is distorted. If one wants to find out if there is God, as most of you believe, you must investigate. Not just, I believe in God, but to find out if there is a God, there must be freedom from all motive, from all belief. Obviously. Otherwise your belief, your motive is going to dictate what you investigate. Right? Huh? So, can we observe the mountain, the rock, the sky, and the beauty of a tree, just to observe, and from that observation to observe oneself without the observer, to observe. Then the whole story of mankind, psychological mankind, reveals itself. You don't have to investigate. It is open to you. Then you can read that book. Right? Sir, do you know what meditation is? Please don't, sir. Do you know what meditation is? Do you? Do you, sirs? Can you say, you know what meditation is? You meditate, don't you? No? Oh, come, sir, you're all... Some of you have done transcendental meditation, haven't you? Huh? 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 What?
He has done transcendental meditation.
Poor chap. So you know something about it. So you know something what you call meditation, right? Don't you, sirs? Huh? Oh, what are you all ashamed about? How can you investigate into what is meditation if you know something already about it? Right? Because you're already caught in what you know. To find out what is meditation, you must be free to investigate the whole nature of meditation. But if you say, yes, I know transcendental meditation, I've practiced it. I know what other gurus have taught me, I've practiced it, etc., etc., etc. Then you follow? You have become a machine that is repeating. But to be free to investigate what meditation is the most beautiful thing on earth, if you know. To begin with freedom, sir. Right? Because That's the first and probably the last step when you are free. When there's freedom to observe, freedom to inquire, explore. That's it.